Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 59. We're going to talk about The Man and the Monster from 1959. I rented this from Scarecrow Video. I had not seen this before. As always, we begin by discussing the prominent crew and cast. The film was directed by Rafael Baladon, written by Alfredo Salazar. Effects makeup was by Armando Meyer, and the music was by Gustavo Cesar Carrion. Rafael Baladon got his start as an actor and has over 90 acting credits. He transitioned to writing, directing, and producing. Alfredo Salazar also wrote Santo and the Blue Demon vs. Dracula and the Wolfman. The cast includes Enrique Rambal as Samuel Magno, Abel Salazar as Ricardo Sauto, Martha Roth as Laura/Alejandra, and Ofelia Guilman as Cornelia. I think Abel Salazar is the brother of Alfredo, if my research is correct. Ofelia Guilman was born in Madrid, and she is one of the Spanish artists who fled the Spanish Civil War. This film was a positive surprise to me. Discovering films like this is why I am doing this project. I could never have predicted that a movie like this exists. There is one issue that I will talk about after the synopsis, but it did not destroy the movie for me. This is a hard movie to track down, but I recommend you do so if you are at all interested. So let's talk about the synopsis. A car careens down a dark road and crashes into a tree. The driver, an attractive blonde woman, hikes to the nearest house for help. The place is decrepit and falling apart, but someone inside plays beautiful piano music. She knocks, and the piano stops. She finds keys and opens a locked door. She screams in terror. Another car almost hits the first wreck. The driver gets out in time to catch the blonde as she falls over, her face slashed up. He goes to the same house for help and is greeted by a stern older woman holding a black cat who refuses to help. The Good Samaritan rushes back to the blonde's side, only for her to die in his arms. The authorities clean up the accident over the credits. The police declare her to be the victim of a car crash. A young woman named Laura is having bad dreams. Her professor comforts her. The professor's mother is the cat-holding old lady. Her name is Cornelia. This is the decrepit house. The professor confesses that something happened again last night before collapsing on a piano. The Good Samaritan turns out to be Ricardo Sauto. A hotel desk clerk thinks he's here to see the Professor Garcia. He's really looking for Samuel Magno, a worldwide musical celebrity who suddenly and mysteriously retired to this little town years ago. The hotel clerk says to not go to that house, a witch lives there. Ricardo laughs. He's already met her. Ricardo goes to the rundown house. He walks in on the professor, observing Laura play some mean piano. Ricardo is a reporter for a music magazine. The professor turns out to be the Samuel Magno that he's looking for. Samuel doesn't want anyone to hear Laura play before her introductory recital. Samuel insists that Laura is the best pianist in the world. Samuel asserts that he doesn't play anymore, and his hands shake. Laura seems surprised to hear this claim. Cornelia kicks Ricardo out. Laura pays Ricardo a visit at his hotel. Samuel and his mother are nervous about returning to civilization. Samuel's hand is drawn magnetically to the piano. He begs her to let him play. His mother exposits that the envious Samuel made a pact with the devil to be the best pianist in the world. Now he is, and he must live with the consequences. She storms out. He locks the door, throws the keys out the window, and rushes to the piano. We hear amazing piano music from the room. Back at the hotel, Laura tells Ricardo that the professor plays the piano every night in the locked room and never lets anyone watch. Now, the professor is dedicated to making Laura the best in the world. Ricardo returns to the house late at night and breaks in. He finds the key to the piano room. In a side room, he finds the preserved corpse of a young woman holding sheet music. He takes the music. Cornelia observes from the dark. Ricardo retreats. Cornelia tells Samuel what has happened, and we find out the corpse's name was Alejandra. Samuel wants to explain everything to Ricardo. Maybe he'll understand. But Cornelia says he will take care of it. She makes him play the piano. It's like he can't help himself. As he plays, he becomes manic, taunting the corpse that he is better than she is. I hope he means when she was alive, because corpses can't play the piano last time I checked. Then we get a flashback. Alejandra plays the piano beautifully. Samuel pouts in a corner, overcome with envy due to his mediocrity. Samuel calls upon the devil. He sells his soul to become the greatest pianist in the world. Alejandra tells Samuel that she was playing an unknown, untitled composition with no signed composer. Samuel stabs her to death with a pair of scissors. He then hides her body so that she can listen to him play for eternity. When he plays the mysterious piece of unknown music, change comes over him. He becomes a monster. Now Samuel is the best pianist in the world, but no one can know. No one can hear him. Turns out the devil is untrustworthy. Who would have guessed? Samuel is not in control of his own body when he plays. We return to the present. A monstrous Samuel knows that he must silence Ricardo. Cornelia unleashes her son. Samuel sneaks into what he thinks is Ricardo's room and kills the poor man sleeping there. Then he busts into the hotel lobby and almost kills Ricardo before others drive him off in a mob. The monster sneaks up on a sleeping Laura. Samuel was preparing Laura to become the best pianist and break the curse. The monster doesn't want this to happen. Laura flees and hides. Cornelia calms her son down, allowing him to revert to his human form. Cornelia also calms an understandably terrified Laura. Ricardo and the hotel staff convince the cops to visit the house. Alejandro's body has been moved. With no evidence, the cops won't do anything. Laura prepares for her debut. Samuel desperately wishes to be free. Turns out he and his mother burned Alejandro's body and stored the ashes with the mysterious musical piece in a chest. The music spontaneously lights on fire. Samuel hears a child tentatively learning a Tchaikovsky piece. He cannot resist helping her learn, and he's a good teacher, but he can't help but play. He transforms into the monster and kills the little girl. The monster then attacks Laura again. He's about to kill her when Ricardo busts down the door. The beast flees. Cornelia kicks Ricardo out again. Samuel conducts the orchestra. Ricardo sneaks in to warn Laura that her life is still in danger. The monster still wants her dead so Samuel can remain the best, even if Samuel doesn't want that anymore. Laura plays the mysterious piece of music from memory while she's on stage. She's heard it so many times. There, in front of the entire auditorium, Samuel becomes the monster. The audience freaks out, of course. Ricardo fights Samuel to protect Laura. The police gun Samuel down. Cornelia holds her dying son and sobs over his body. So here is the one weakness of this movie, the makeup job. I wish it wasn't so, but the makeup job just looks silly. I think it's the nose that blows it for me. It's bulbous and fake looking. Now, the transformations are decent. It's dissolves, but the creative team made some cool and interesting choices. For the first transformation, the actor must have repeated the same set of facial expressions so they could dissolve between them with a slightly more dynamic scene than normal. I love the transformation from monster to man with his face resting on the piano. The reflection in the piano top as Samuel transforms back into the man was oddly beautiful, a kind of symbolic manifestation of the dual natures warring within Samuel himself. As far as werewolf lore goes, this is a whole new ball of lore. I could even see an argument that this really isn't even a werewolf movie. They never use the word wolf in the movie. That said, he does turn into a bestial looking killer under unusual circumstances. So let's talk about those circumstances. Samuel sells his soul to the devil, but the devil never plays fair. He is the best pianist in the world, but almost no one can hear him play. On top of that, the devil has some kind of control over him when he's in beast form. We don't know exactly what lets Samuel re-exert control over his own body. At least one time he stays a monster long enough to travel into town to attempt to kill Ricardo. I suspect the beast has to relinquish control. Either the beast has nothing to do while locked in the piano room, so as soon as they quit playing, Samuel returns, or the beast gets free and he has some murderous fun. There is no indication of any specific weakness to Silver or anything else. While the beast does seem to be somewhat stronger than Samuel, it's not rip doors off hinges strong. But what I most want to talk about here is actually the music. I really enjoyed the way this film relied upon music. Now, I'm not even an amateur classical music scholar, so I reached out to some friends who know more than I do. All credit here goes to Jordan Stokes and my other smart, funny friends at the Overthinking It podcast and Discord. I'll incorporate what they told me. If you know anything about these themes, please comment below and add your insight. I enjoyed the beauty of the music on several levels. On the most basic level, the movie juxtaposes the civility and elegance of classical music with the savagery and brutalness of the devil and his bestial gift. Samuel, Alejandra, and Laura worked hard to develop their talents. It takes tens of thousands of hours of practice to hone that skill. When Samuel felt like his hard work wasn't sufficient, he turned to the quick, immediate fix. Of course, he ultimately pays an even steeper price for the skill. Now let's move on to talking about the piano styles the various characters use. Alejandra and Laura play in a romantic, impressionistic, 19th century style, while Samuel plays in a much more aggressive, modern, early 20th century style. So one way to look at this story is as an allegory about modernism. For Samuel to achieve new, greater heights, he abandons the comforts of beauty and elegance of that old style, that old type. While he did become better at playing the piano, he could no longer recognize himself. This is a warning to us. We should not let go of the good parts of the past while chasing an impersonal future. This has extra significance in Mexico when we consider the attacks on the hacienda system and the Mexican Revolution. This film was made less than 40 years after the revolution had ended and less than 20 years after the revolutionary generals consolidated their victory and power. Alejandro represents an old, genteel sort of Mexico, and Samuel wrestles with being part of modern Mexico, perhaps even grappling with a modernity that was introduced through violence and bloodshed, much to the chagrin and condemnation of his traditionalist mother. Lara then represents an attempt to return to that romanticized, idyllic past. Finally, let's discuss the specific piece of mysterious music Lara plays that can trigger Samuel's transformation involuntarily. My guest experts believe this piece was written by Gustavo Cesar Carrion, who is in charge of music for this film. The piece seems to be inspired by composer Franz Liszt's Mephisto waltzes. This makes the piece a 20th century adaptation or update of a late 19th century work. This makes it a romantic composition, but the four waltzes are more aggressive sounding and devilish and less placid. They are examples of the very earliest transition to modernism. Liszt is certainly a romantic composer, but has some pieces that are basically early modernist works, and that is the side of Liszt showing up in the Mephisto waltzes. And that's what Carrion seems to be channeling here. So this supports the 19th century versus 20th century interpretation. Now, the next thing I want to discuss is the age-old adage, music soothes the savage beast. That's a tongue twister. Although I must acknowledge the original quote is actually, music hath charms to soothe the savage breast, taken from The Morning Bride, written by William Congreve in 1697. This discussion encompasses its historical roots, psychological effects, practical applications, and the ironic twist this phrase takes in this particular film. Historically, ancient civilizations have long recognized music's potential to heal, soothe, and restore balance. Music's profound impact on emotions and mental states is scientifically supported, activating regions of the brain associated with emotion, memory, and pleasure. Its therapeutic effects extend into practical applications, with hospitals employing music therapy for pain management, anxiety reduction, and overall well-being. Educational institutions incorporate music into curricula to foster cognitive development and emotional intelligence. In communal experiences, music becomes a unifying force, fostering empathy, understanding, and unity among individuals. Concerts and festivals create shared spaces where people connect through the tapestry woven by the melodies. However, The Man and the Monster introduces an ironic twist to the adage. Instead of soothing, music awakens the beast within Samuel. This irony challenges the conventional notion of music as a passive soother, recognizing its potential to stir, challenge, and amplify harder emotions. The film reflects instances where music becomes a tool for rebellion or countercultural movements, embracing the irony by intentionally evoking intense emotions. In summary, the film's ironic thematic subversion of the phrase music soothes the savage beast invites a nuanced exploration of music's diverse and sometimes contradictory effects. It encourages a richer understanding of music's multifaceted role in shaping human emotion, acknowledging its power to both offer solace and challenge the very emotions it was thought to soothe. Lastly, as I watched this, I was reminded of the tale of Faust. So let's briefly delve into it. Faust is the protagonist from classic German folklore based on the historical Johann Georg Faust, who lived in the early 16th century. The legend was adapted into the Christopher Marlowe play, The Tragical History of the Life and Death of Dr. Faustus in 1604. The fable was again adapted in Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's drama Faust in 1808. There are other versions as well, but those are the big two. The basic outline of the tale explores a man's pact with the devil. The story follows the scholar and artist Faust, who makes a pact with the devil Mephistopheles. Faust seeks ultimate knowledge, fulfillment, pleasure, or talent. He sells his soul for his desired reward. Under the influence of Mephistopheles, Faust embarks on a journey involving love affairs, hedonistic pleasure, political intrigue, intellectual stimulation, and magical adventures. As Faust's ambitions escalate, he discovers the limitations of his desires and the destructive consequences of his actions. A tragic love story is often a central element of the narrative. The tale typically ends with Faust paying the ultimate price, dying horribly in a locked room as the devil comes to claim his prize. The story delves into philosophical and existential questions, addressing themes such as the pursuit of knowledge, the nature of good and evil, and the human condition. Faust is a complex legend, exploring the consequences of unchecked ambition and the eternal struggle between the forces of light and darkness. It's easy to see The Man and the Monster as an adaptation of Faust. So, in conclusion, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional comments below. Let me know what I missed or what you may have noticed. Next, I plan on returning to the 80s Renaissance with The Howling from 1981. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bullet in the chamber, and we'll see you back here next episode.